Hello and welcome to the fourth playthrough of Night in the Woods, or the second one for Weird Autumn. Uh, as you can tell, probably this is being done a little bit differently. Like I said at the end of my last one, this is going to be more of a post-commentary, where I talk more about the game itself rather than doing all the cutie little voice acting and, stuff like that. So, we'll start with the beginning here, which is actually kind of nice. It not only sets up the world of the game, but it gets you, it's not one of those, prologues that you just kind of sit there and stare. You actually get a little bit of choice in the matter. Not that, as you've noticed in this game, choices matter much, which is kind of an interesting concept. So we're going to put a pin on that and talk about it a little bit later, about agency in video games and what that means, having agency or having no agency. So at the beginning, we start off in the bus station, obviously, and you can tell that this first night is a major tutorial level. It does not let you move past certain areas without, making sure you understand the concepts and the mechanics of the game. Like, whenever you see an eye, you get to, take a look at it, and May gets to talk about it. And a little bit over, you get to, a little bit later, you get to do the hand mini game where you actually have to grab something, which doesn't show up as much as I'd like. It shows up a lot, certainly, with the sorry, it shows up a lot with the shoplifting mechanic and opening up the window, but it's not something you need to be particularly good at. Another thing this thing opens up is the B dialogue options, which are background noise, something that you are not actively participating in, but you can still, move on, which is kind of an interesting thing. You get to have a choice, or you get to have a whole different button to function through dialogue that isn't directed towards you. In this case, what's going on in the television. In fact, you don't have to listen to this at all. You can just continue walking. But I like Garbo and Malloy. Of course, it's definitely a take on, most likely, I'm guessing, Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter. Because if there's any late night host that has a duo like that May would be interested in, I'd imagine it'd be Conan, or I'd like to think so. Definitely doesn't seem to be very Stephen Colbert-esque. And yep, here we get this is definitely a tutorial thing where the janitor tells May, nope, she is not allowed further on, and thus us as a player is not further, allowed to go on until we complete this task. Which, on the bright side, is just as simple as walking over and interacting. But, yeah, I mean, this whole area is a major, yep, as you can see, I'm just twirling around the soda, but this whole place is an exposition dump without being really much of a exposition dump. In fact, looking at the phone and looking at the mural is purely optional, and how it's described seems to be relatively, natural. She's just, making commentary on crap that she sees. And there goes the janitor, who is the most important, non-important person in this game. Um, and I mean, here's another thing the game kind of like immediately starts on that says this is going to be a theme of the game, which is kind of this dark loneliness and isolation of the game, where yeah, May is, you know, forgotten in the middle of a bus station in the middle of the woods and needs to get home. Um, and while doing so, reminisces about, times beforehand, which, yeah, nostalgia is definitely another one of those major themes in the game, which I'll definitely go on to say. So I've got nostalgia and a few other things. On the bright side of this commentary, I've got like 12 hours of gameplay to fill, so you're going to hear a lot of rambling. And another thing I like about this game is just how natural they've got everything in the background looking. This is a bit of woods, but it's not just a whole bunch of trees and stuff. It's got garbage and stuff that's been left here by people, and an entire log pile lost by the nearby mill. I'd say anything is kind of bad about this tutorial section. It's kind of this sequence, because it doesn't quite tell you what to do, but I guess since they figure you can't move any further back or forward, you'll eventually figure it out. So I guess that works. And yes, we have May's line, "I'm not going to die in this hole," which, yeah. This is going to be full of spoilers, because I expect you probably either played the game or viewed a few of the Let's Plays, but yeah, dying in a hole seems to be a running theme of this game. And trying to not do so. Again, game offers a whole lot of exposition, which I like reading because this place seems to be real and naturally built, but the game also is just like, yeah, you don't want to do it, you don't have to, which is kind of nice. Because I know some, RPGs tend to be kind of the worst in that way, in that, like the first hour and a half is just all exposition, and if you're replaying an RPG, it's just like, I don't want to deal with this. But in this, I mean, all the exposition is kind of tossed out, in the first, 10 or so minutes of the game, which is fine, and you pretty much have the option to skip it. Now, this seemed to be added in the Weird Autumn update, which is just explaining how to do the triple jump, but also at the same time, it offers you to skip the triple jump tutorial, which, I hadn't before, but I thought, this time, after successfully doing it, just do the, I'll skip the tutorial and see what, happens. See how far it gets you along. Because, as you can see, I'm perfectly fine in getting up there. But, fantastic indeed. So even if you are not particularly full of hand-eye coordination, which this game really doesn't require you to have great hand-eye coordination, that jump there is the most complicated jump you have to do. after this, I mean, um, even places that are like difficult to get to, you can either skip and not much happens, or you can, figure your way around it, which is kind of nice. And here we meet Aunt Molly, or as May calls her, Aunt Mollcop. And we get to learn that May is a little bit, Rage Against the Machine type. Well, Rage Against the Man. And May's dad, who... May's parents certainly get a lot of characterization, but is very little direct characterization. Well, May's mom gets a lot more direct characterization, but I guess May's dad just is tired from work all the time, so yeah, all that we get to find out about her dad is typically through, what we hear about other people, and, how the rest of the world, interacts with him. It's another thing that's rather big about this game, the difference between characters who are proactive and reactive, and when they try to change it, how that doesn't always work out for them, which is kind of an interesting theme that I found in the game. But we seem to be wrapping up on the first night, and we've got 13 more to go. So next time we'll be talking about day 2 of Night in the Woods and everything that's surrounding that. Have a good one.